What's up? It's AK Babyface. Subscribe to Supporting Icons for the latest boxing news.
Okay, so the ban that Big Baby Jarrell Miller is currently on is set to be lifted on June the 16th. And according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they're quite happy to give him another opportunity, i.e. license him, providing he can keep on providing proof that he's a clean athlete, as in keep taking VADA tests and showing that they are negative. Now, Big Baby Jarrell Miller is going to have to do a lot of work to restore any kind of reputation that he may have. He really is, because a lot of people are very disappointed in Jarrell Miller. But of course, the biggest victim of all of this is himself, because he had the golden opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua in New York, Big Baby Jarrell Miller's home state, to fight for the unified World Heavyweight Championships against Anthony Joshua. And apparently the purse that he was set to receive was between $7 and $8 million. So even had he lost, that's life-changing money, isn't it? But of course, had he beaten Joshua, he'd have got a whole chunk more, and of course be down in the record books as a heavyweight world champion, unified at that, which is where Andy Ruiz Jr. came in, where he replaced Jarrell Miller after Jarrell Miller tested positive for banned substances, multiple ones, not just one. And I've said it before, so I'll say it again. If you test positive for one, you could probably somewhat overlook it from a certain perspective. How did it get there? It could well be an accident. But when you've got multiple ones, you can't really defend it. As a consequence of that, he lost the Anthony Joshua fight, and Matchroom dropped him. Sometime later, he gets a deal. He gets an opportunity with Top Rank, which of course did raise a lot of eyebrows as to why Bob Arum would give him the opportunity, but he did anyway. He had a fight date, everything was all set, and he failed again. And I think one of the substances that he failed for was one of the same substances that he failed for with Anthony Joshua. So of course, naturally, people go, well, you just haven't learned your lesson. So as a consequence of that, he hasn't been allowed to box. So on June the 16th, he can get his license back, providing he's going to be showing that he's a clean athlete. Now, you could look at it from multiple different ways. You could look at it and say, well, it's just a cheat. Can't really be argued with, can it? You could just look at him and say, well, clearly he's suffering from some kind of internal issues where he's not confident in his own ability to fight and beat opponents without the use of these performance enhancers. But his reputation is in tatters. So who's going to sign him? Who's going to give him the opportunity to come back? It ain't going to be Top Rank, is it? Or at least you wouldn't have thought so. It ain't going to be Matchroom. Again, at least you wouldn't have thought so. So maybe, as far as the platform is concerned, maybe the PBC might. And the PBC might only because they're quite desperate for heavyweights. They need some good heavyweight fights internally. We know the PBC, they don't really like their fighters to go to the other side of the street, as Errol Spence Jr. once coined. They don't like that. They like all their fighters to stay in-house. So a Big Baby Jarrell Miller, for example, would be an interesting fight for some people if he was to fight, say, Andy Ruiz Jr., if he was to fight a Luis Ortiz, for example. Now, before Andy Ruiz Jr. got the opportunity to fight Joshua, it's probably about 6 months beforehand, right before Jarrell Miller actually got the fight with Anthony Joshua, or officially got the fight signed for, Andy Ruiz Jr. asked me for a photo that I created, a picture that I created, so he can put it out on his social media to call out Big Baby Jarrell Miller. That would have been an interesting fight. Both of these guys, lightning fast hands, and of course they're both big guys. So that was a fight that a lot of people would have been quite interested in. Maybe that can be resurrected. But I think in the meantime, I think it's more likely that Jarrell Miller, he's going to have to prove himself first. Go through like the next year or two of showing that he's clean. Keep on providing negative test results for banned substances with VADA. In the meantime, go fight on some small hall shows. Go fight abroad. Go fight on a small hall show over in Croatia or Bulgaria, or just get around Europe a little bit. Get back into the ring and, of course, build your reputation, because the only way to restore anything, if at all possible, is to keep on providing proof that you are a clean athlete. Because again, this goes back to quite some time where Jarrell Miller just refused to be part of VADA. He refused to be part of the WBC clean boxing program. And a lot of people were asking, well, why? Do you have something to hide? Then, of course, when he had no option but to sign up with VADA, when he agreed to fight Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua was a WBA World Heavyweight Champion at the time, you have to enroll in VADA. It's part of the WBA protocol as well, that the champion and the challenger must be enrolled in VADA. And thus, he failed. So therefore, a lot of people will, and maybe rightly so, say that he didn't enroll beforehand because he knew that he was taking something. But going forward from June the 16th, he's going to have to provide a lot of proof, and he's got a lot of work to do to restore his reputation. He's a larger-than-life character. A lot of people like his personality. A lot of people hate his personality. But he was loud, and he made waves. But people will look at his past victories and say, well, how many of those fights that you took, like a Bogdan Dinu, for example, how many of those fights were you under, or wasn't you clean? So anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens, what Big Baby Jarrell Miller does. I mean, who knows? Maybe he won't even return to boxing. We don't know. We know he's got that kickboxing background and everything, so maybe he may try and go back into that, or maybe do some bare knuckle, or do some mixed martial arts. I know that that was something that he was tampering with a while ago, or at least thinking about it. So who knows? Who knows what he's going to do? We'll have to wait and find out from June the 16th. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.